Welcome, everyone. I'm Mark Vena, CEO and Principal Analyst at SmartTech Research, and this is another episode of the SmartTechCheck EduSeries. Today, we're taking a look at Impinj, a company I have not previously covered in depth. Frankly, Impinj is not exactly a household name. It is not one of those companies that sits on the tip of everyone's tongue like Apple, Nvidia, Qualcomm, Intel, or Microsoft. But that is precisely why this company is interesting. Impinj is playing a crucial role in the expanding RFID market, and more specifically, in RAIN RFID, a technology that helps connect everyday physical items to the digital world. While most people talk about Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, 5G, and AI, Impinj is working in the background to help enterprises know where things are, what they are, where they are going, and how they move through real-world environments. That may sound mundane, but it is not. In retail, logistics, grocery, supply chain, and asset tracking, knowing what is happening at the item level can be the difference between efficiency and chaos. The big idea here is simple. The physical world is still massively underconnected. We have spent decades connecting people, devices, apps, and cloud platforms. Now the next wave is about connecting everyday items. That is where Impinj comes in. RAIN RFID is not flashy in the consumer electronics sense, but its impact can be enormous. It allows companies to track items at scale without manual scanning, without line of sight, and without batteries in the tags. This overview explains why that matters, why Impinj's technology has a distinct value proposition, and why this company deserves more attention than it typically receives. So who exactly is Impinj? At a high level, Impinj is a technology company focused on RAIN RFID. The company has spent more than 20 years building a platform that bridges the physical and digital worlds. That phrase gets tossed around a lot in technology, but in Impinj's case, it is very literal. Their technology gives physical items a unique digital identity. A shirt, a parcel, a food item, a tool, or a shipment can become visible to software systems in real time. The scale is impressive. The presentation highlights more than 150 billion endpoint ICs sold. These are the tiny integrated circuits embedded into RFID tags. It also points to more than 6 million connectivity devices, including readers and gateways, deployed across operations globally. And Impinj's ecosystem reaches more than 115 countries. That is not a niche footprint. What makes Impinj particularly interesting is that it is not just selling one component. Its platform spans the full stack. It provides the silicon that goes into the tags. It provides the readers that capture the data. It also provides the software and connectivity layer that helps turn raw reads into useful business intelligence. That matters because RFID deployments are not just about slapping tags on products. The real value comes when those tags create clean, reliable, usable data. For enterprises, that data can help answer basic but mission-critical questions. What do I have? Where is it? Is it moving? Did it arrive? Did it leave? Is it authentic? Is it in the right place? Those questions sound simple, but at enterprise scale, they are incredibly hard. Impinj's value proposition is that it helps make those answers automatic. RAIN RFID is one of those technologies that many people have heard about, but few people really understand. The simplest way to explain it is this. RAIN RFID gives physical items a unique digital identity using low-cost, battery-free tags. Those tags can then be read automatically by RFID readers, often at high speed and without requiring direct line of sight. That last part is critical. Unlike a barcode, RFID does not require someone to point a scanner at a visible code. You do not need to open every box, scan every item manually, or touch every product one by one. Readers can identify tagged items through boxes, shelves, and clutter. That changes the operating model. The presentation points out several key advantages. Tags can be extremely inexpensive, which makes the technology viable for everyday goods and fast-moving inventory. Readers can identify up to 1,000 tagged items per second, which is essential in high-throughput environments like warehouses, distribution centers, and retail backrooms. The range can reach up to 10 meters, depending on the environment and deployment design. And because the tags are passive and battery-free, they do not require ongoing maintenance in the way a powered sensor might. This is why RAIN RFID is so important. It is not trying to be another Bluetooth or Wi-Fi replacement. It is solving a different problem. It is about identifying massive numbers of individual items quickly, cheaply, and automatically.
That is a big deal in a world where companies want more automation, better inventory accuracy, and cleaner data for AI-driven decision making. The unsung part of the Internet of Things may turn out to be the part that connects the most things.
The market opportunity for Impinj is significant because the physical world is still largely invisible to digital systems. The presentation frames Impinj's mission in very bold terms: connect trillions of everyday items to the internet every year. It also notes that only about 0.5% of connectable items are currently connected. That is a huge gap, and that gap explains the opportunity. In retail, companies like Lululemon and Inditex, the parent company of Zara, use RAIN RFID to improve item-level inventory accuracy across large store networks. That matters because retail still struggles with a basic problem. The system says an item is in stock, but the shopper cannot find it, the associate cannot find it, and the store misses the sale. RFID helps reduce that disconnect. In logistics and parcel delivery, the value is different but equally important.
UPS uses RFID to track packages across its global network, helping improve sortation speed and accuracy. In an environment where millions of packages move every day, even modest improvements in visibility and automation can create major operational leverage. In grocery and food freshness, Kroger is an example of how RFID can help monitor baked goods and perishables. That can reduce waste, improve compliance, and help retailers better manage freshness-sensitive inventory. The broader point is that Impinj is not just serving one vertical. Retail may be the most obvious use case, but the technology applies anywhere physical items need to be identified, tracked, authenticated, or managed. That includes apparel, logistics, healthcare, manufacturing, food, aviation, and supply chain operations. The opportunity is not just about tracking more items, it is about giving enterprises a live digital view of physical operations. That is powerful.
The business case for RAIN RFID is not theoretical, it is measurable. Before RAIN RFID, many retail inventory systems typically operated with inventory accuracy in the 60 to 80% range. That means a company might think it knows what it has, but in reality, a meaningful percentage of items may be missing, misplaced, miscounted, or unavailable when needed. That creates real business pain. It creates stockouts. It creates overstock. It creates labor waste. It hurts customer satisfaction. And it makes forecasting harder because the data feeding the system is flawed. RAIN RFID changes that equation. With RFID deployed, inventory accuracy can reach 98 to 99% or better. That is not a small improvement. That is a step change in operational visibility. Manual cycle counts become faster and less labor intensive. Associates can find items more easily. Stores can replenish inventory more intelligently.
Distribution centers can verify shipments faster, and companies can begin building more automated workflows on top of trusted item-level data. This is where the technology becomes more than an inventory tool. Once companies trust the data, they can start using it for supply chain optimization, predictive forecasting, automated checkout, loss prevention, and better customer experiences. The key point is this: AI and automation are only as good as the data underneath them. If the data is wrong, incomplete, or delayed, the intelligence layer breaks down. Impinj's technology gives enterprises a way to generate clean, real-time data from the physical world. That is the foundation for smarter operations. In that sense, RAIN RFID is not just about tagging things. It is about giving companies a more accurate version of reality.
One of the most important themes in the markets Impinj participates in is the shift from manual to autonomous reading. Historically, many RFID deployments relied on employees using handheld readers. That was still a major improvement over manual barcode scanning, but it remained periodic and labor dependent. Someone still had to go out and perform the scan. Now the market is moving toward fixed infrastructure. That means readers installed in ceilings, dock doors, exit gates, conveyors, and other strategic points in a facility. These systems can read tagged items continuously and automatically as products move through the environment. That is a very different model. Instead of getting occasional snapshots, companies can get a real-time stream of item-level data. They can see what is moving, when it is moving, where it is moving, and whether it is moving correctly. This is where the story becomes much more relevant to AI.
AI systems need clean, structured, real-time data to make useful decisions. Autonomous RFID can provide exactly that. It creates a digital signal from physical operations. Think about a warehouse. If the system knows what items entered, what items exited, what stayed still, and what moved to the wrong location, software can start identifying bottlenecks and exceptions automatically. Think about retail. If the system knows what is on the floor, what is in the back room, and what just left the store, it can improve replenishment and reduce out of stock problems. This is not just automation for the sake of automation, it is about virtualizing physical operations. It gives companies a live operating picture of their assets, inventory, and workflows. That is why the autonomous reading shift is so important.
Earlier in the week, Impinj launched an upgraded Impinj R700 reader. This launch is important because it shows where RFID infrastructure is headed. This is not just about reading tags, it is about adding more intelligence at the edge. The upgraded R700 fixed reader is designed for autonomous, always-on reading environments. These environments generate massive streams of RFID data. That data must be filtered, interpreted, and acted on quickly. The presentation highlights three key upgrades. First, the R700 now delivers 2 times the processor performance, powered by a dual-core 1 GHz 64-bit ARM processor. That additional compute matters because the reader is not simply collecting raw data. It may need to run edge logic, filter out noise, identify patterns, and make decisions in real time. Second, the reader has up to 3 times the embedded memory. That allows it to run more sophisticated applications and store richer operational data locally.
Third, and most important, this creates an edge intelligence advantage. When data can be processed directly on the reader, companies can reduce network bandwidth usage and avoid pushing every raw tag read to the cloud. That matters because RFID environments can create enormous volumes of data. The edge becomes the first layer of intelligence. Instead of sending everything upstream and waiting for the cloud to sort it out, the reader can help translate raw tag activity into meaningful business events at the point of capture. That is a major shift. It positions Impinj's readers not just as RFID hardware, but as intelligent edge devices in a broader enterprise automation architecture.
It's important to recognize the practical realities of deploying this technology in the real world. And this is where things get interesting. Let's focus first on edge use cases, like autonomous exit gates. In that scenario, a reader must determine whether a tagged item is actually leaving a building or whether the reader is picking up a stray static tag nearby. That sounds simple, but it is not. In the real world, RFID environments are noisy. Tags can be nearby but not relevant. Items can be stacked. People can move quickly. Doors, shelves, metal, liquids, and other materials can complicate readings. So the reader needs intelligence. It must filter data, understand context, and make decisions without constantly relying on a cloud round trip. That is why edge processing matters.
Another example could be non-line of sight distance capabilities. In supply chain environments, Impinj readers can verify shipments by reading up to 400 densely packed items on a conveyor or through a dock door without opening boxes. That is a powerful operational use case. Imagine the time saved when workers do not need to open containers or manually scan individual products. Imagine the accuracy benefits when shipments can be automatically verified as they move through a facility. This is where RFID becomes more than a tracking tool. It becomes an automation layer. But the important caveat is that this technology has to perform under messy conditions. Warehouses, stores, loading docks, and supply chains are not clean laboratory environments. Impinj's value proposition depends on making RFID work reliably in those environments. That is the real test.
Gen 2X is one of the more important forward-looking pieces of the Impinj story. According to Impinj, Gen 2X is a standards-compatible enhancement to the core RAIN RFID radio protocol. The goal is to address some of the hardest real-world deployment challenges that can limit RFID performance at scale. The first area is superior readability. As RFID expands beyond straightforward apparel use cases, the environments get harder, tags get smaller, items sit closer together, shelves become more cluttered. Products may contain liquids, metals, or other materials that complicate RF performance. Gen 2X is designed to improve tag detection and read zone confinement. In plain English, that means better reliability and more precise control over what gets read and what does not. That matters in dense environments where hundreds of tagged items may sit close together. The second area is anti-counterfeiting.
Gen 2X adds cryptographic protections that help inhibit fraudulent or cloned tags. That becomes important for brands, retailers, manufacturers, and supply chain operators trying to verify product authenticity. Counterfeit goods are not just a luxury retail problem. They can affect healthcare, electronics, industrial components, food safety, and regulated supply chains. The third area is consumer privacy. This is critical. As RFID moves deeper into consumer products, people will reasonably ask whether tagged items can be tracked after purchase. Gen 2X introduces mechanisms that help prevent unauthorized tracking after purchase. That is not a small feature. It may be necessary for trust, regulation, and broader consumer acceptance. Gen 2X shows that Impinj is not just scaling RFID, it is trying to make RFID more reliable, more secure, and more acceptable for the next wave of connected items.
The Impinj story has real upside, but it is not without challenges. On the tailwind side, the market opportunity is massive. If only about 0.5% of connectable items are connected today, then the long-term addressable market is enormous. We are talking about trillions of everyday items that could eventually carry a digital identity. Another tailwind is AI. Enterprise AI needs clean, real-time data from the physical world. RFID can become a foundational data layer that helps companies understand what is happening across stores, warehouses, factories, and supply chains. The third tailwind is the shift from handheld readers to fixed autonomous infrastructure. That shift can expand deal sizes, deepen customer relationships, and create more strategic deployments. But there are headwinds. RF engineering is hard. Liquids, metals, dense environments, and mixed product categories can make tagging and reading more difficult. This is not a software-only problem. Physics matters. There is also an infrastructure cost issue. Full autonomous RFID deployments require fixed readers, installation, integration, and workflow changes. That can create a higher adoption barrier than lower-cost handheld deployments. And finally, ecosystem readiness matters. Scaling RFID from billions to trillions of items requires partner education, customer education, standards progress, and broader market understanding. My bottom line is this: Impinj is not a flashy consumer tech company, but it may be one of the more important enablers of physical-digital convergence. It gives enterprises something they badly need: real-time visibility into the physical world. Thanks for watching this episode of the SmartTechCheck EduSeries. If you enjoyed the content, please like this video and subscribe to the SmartTechCheck podcast channel.
I'd also love to hear your comments on this episode, and please suggest other tech topics you would like me to cover in future episodes.
Thanks for watching another episode of the SmartTechCheck EduSeries, where tech industry veteran Mark Vena breaks down the biggest trends shaping the market today. With more than 30 years of industry experience, SmartTech Research delivers professional services that amplify, inform, challenge, and inspire.